What was something small you went to the doctor for that turned out to be very significant?
A few weeks before my 19th birthday, I was sitting to the right of my mom. When I went to look at her, she pointed out that my left eye did not track with my right eye, which made it look like I had a lazy eye. The next day, after we had all laughed it off because it did look quite goofy, my mom made an appointment with a neuro-ophthalmologist. We went in on a busy Saturday, and after he examined my eye, he requested that we make another appointment on a day when he would have more time to dedicate to me and the testing that would have to be done. About 2 weeks later, my mother and I went to his other office and he examined my eye. He asked me if I had experienced any double vision recently, and I realized I had. So, he explained the possible reasons for the eye, which he diagnosed as sixth cranial nerve palsy. It was an infection, or in very rare cases, a brain tumor. He ordered a chest X-ray, blood work, and a head MRI. The blood work and chest X-ray went well and nothing was found. Going into my MRI, my mother was optimistic, but I just had a feeling that the diagnosis was going to be bigger than a little infection. After the MRI, my mother and I got lunch and were high in spirits. When we returned home, I got to work on my classes. They were online, thanks, 2020. A few hours later, my mother ran into my room, very upset, and told me to come to the phone. My doctor was on the other end. He told me that I had a mass in my brain that was pressing against my sixth cranial nerve. He suggested that it was a very rare form of bone cancer in my brain called chordoma that had grown on my skull base, in the middle of my head. I was diagnosed 2 days after my 19th birthday. Since then, my diagnosis was confirmed and I had surgery to remove the tumor. I had many complications like infections and brain fluid leaks, but I made it out. There was about 5 to 10% of the tumor left, so I underwent proton radiation therapy to kill the rest of the cancer. In a few weeks, I will have been in partial remission for a year, smiley face. I also had eye surgery about 10 months ago to correct my eye, which was stuck looking inward since my first surgery. Since then, I've been dealing with a lot of other issues because of my tumor and treatment like chronic nerve damage/pain, Hashimoto's disease and hypothyroidism, but I have a wonderful team of doctors who have provided me with great treatments. I was a freshman in college when I was diagnosed, and now I'm going to be a junior. I'm studying psychology and music, and I participate in my college's choirs, theater productions, and student life team. In the future, I'm hoping to get my master's degree in mental health counseling and work as a therapist for adolescents and young adults with disabilities, rare disease, and cancer. I would also love to perform professionally in my city's symphony orchestra/choir, and maybe even audition for America's Got Talent. I thank the Lord for all that He has done for me. 3.
Well, I started feeling a little tired and noticed a rather large bruise on my right forearm. I couldn't remember doing anything to get it, but there it was. So about a week later, my husband tells me I'm getting forgetful and sends me to my doctor. My GP sends me to a neurologist, my neurologist sends me to an oncologist, my oncologist sends me to Stanford Medical Center in Palo Alto. I had lost consciousness in the oncologist's office, so I have no memory of my trip from Monterey, California to Palo Alto. My Stanford hematologist tells me, 6 months later, that I had arrived about 2 days from death. I had acute leukemia and my blood was 78% blasts, underdeveloped red and white blood cells, and not quite ready for prime-time platelets. That was the last bruise I'll ever ignore.
It all started after I scratched myself on a piece of metal on my mom's door. The scratch wasn't deep. I never even bled from it. A red lump came up, which looked and itched like a mosquito bite. Over the course of 3 weeks, it evolved into a fleshy bump with a yellow center. I thought it was a boil and tried to pinch it, but there was no pus in it. I knew after 3 weeks there was something wrong, so I made an appointment with a dermatologist to have it biopsied. It turns out I had squamous cell skin cancer. It came up that quickly from a small scratch. Not me, but my sister. On August 2020, my sister got 2 to 3 painless lumps in her neck and near upper stomach. It looked like the below picture. She was working in a different city, so she could not come to her home in lockdown. She came to her home in September. She went to the doctor and did some blood tests. The doctor confirmed it was nothing serious and it was just an accumulation of fats due to long working hours, no exercise, and no proper diet. She had to return to office location by next week. After some days, her right leg started paining a little. She thought of taking second opinion and returned to her home the next weekend. She consulted another doctor, but he too told her it was nothing but just accumulation of fats due to no exercise and prescribed some painkillers for leg pain. She took painkillers and again left for her office location the next morning. By end of October, she was not able to lift her right leg and she had lost around 20 kilograms. She was also dieting a lot as the previous doctors had told the lumps were due to her weight and no exercise, so she blamed weight loss on dieting. Her mother went to visit her because of her leg. She was not even able to walk by herself. Finally, she decided to consult another doctor. This doctor also told the same thing. But he also told if she wanted to remove those lumps, it can be operated and removed. But there will not be any health issues if it is not operated and those lumps are still there. As she wanted to marry soon, she decided to go for surgery to look good. The surgery was scheduled. But before that, the doctor told to get MRI of brain and leg to know the root cause of numbness in her legs. He also told to do tests for tuberculosis and COVID-19 before admitting her. Her COVID-19 test was negative, but tuberculosis test came positive and MRI of brain showed she had tuberculosis in her brain. The doctor prescribed medicines for tuberculosis and operated on the lumps. He sent the lumps which were removed from her body to biopsy for surety. The biopsy report came as cancer positive. My sister had breast cancer which had spread to her brain. Due to damage in brain from cancer, the brain was not able to send signals to her leg, which is why her leg was not responding. The doctor had planned 5 cycles of chemotherapy and radiation. After first cycle, her condition worsened drastically. On January 6, 2021, she got urinary tract infection which turned to be very critical. She had breathing problems later, so was put on ventilator on January 9th. Her soul left her body on January 10th, 2021 as her heart stopped beating. Please don't ever ignore any unusual signs in your body. Consult a doctor if you feel something is not right. If your gut feeling says the doctor isn't giving proper advice, take a second opinion on it. Nothing is more valuable than your life.